Hi, my name is Lorna Muthamia Ochido, and I'm making it one of my life's mission to demystify the speech therapy field and to empower more parents on what they can start to do in order to optimize their child's communication outcomes. So whether you want your child to talk more or talk better, learn better, and overall optimize their potential. So stay tuned and feel free to send in any topics on speech and language development you'd like for me to tackle. Hi and welcome to my channel. I am Lorna Muthamia Ochido. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic is 4 ways that you as a parent or a reading instructor can apply, or 4 ways you can, 4 ways of helping your child with their reading skills. Anyway, so kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much for subscribing, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that we can alert you when I publish a new video, which is weekly. All right, so the topic about reading is getting a lot of interest from viewers, from parents. I mean, I'm suspecting it's probably because you might have a child that is struggling with reading or finding the reading process not so swift. And I mean, I understand, because reading, if it is taught by somebody who doesn't understand the building blocks, it can become like a maze. Like a maze of like, oh goodness, what's happening? I was told this, it doesn't apply all the time. And I usually say to kids when I'm teaching them how to read, and honestly, I believe that I can teach any child how to read. I mean, that is one of my, areas of special interest that's very close to my heart. So these tips that I'm sharing with you, 4 things that you can, reinforce with your child, when they're reading, is sure to help make them a better reader. So what are these 4 things? Actually, before I start, let me know in the comment, some of the things you do when you are on reading duty with your child at home. When they're stuck on a word, what do you do? When your child is stuck on a word, what do you do as a parent? Let me know in the comment. I would love to read, what everybody says, and, just, know what people are thinking. All right, so 4 things you can do when you are reading with your child. I have talked in a previous video about phonological awareness, as being very critical to a child's reading success. And phonological awareness, if that's an unfamiliar term to you, please check out that video where I talk about it. I think the video is, not sure, I have so many videos, but I'll link it up here somewhere. So the 4 ways, there are many ways of helping your child with their reading, but these 4 ways are sure to get them really on the right track with their reading. So the first 2 are to do with, they're directly linked to phonological awareness skills. So they sound like big terms. I will explain them. So phoneme segmentation and phoneme blending. So phoneme segmentation refers to, pulling apart sounds in words. I have a video that explains how you do, the letter sound conversion accurately. So how the alphabet translates to sound correctly, how you should teach it correctly to your child. I'll link that video here as well. So as you're reading with your child, the child is reading to you, you need to reinforce sounding out. So if your child is stuck on an unfamiliar word, encourage your child to sound out that word. Now, there are correct ways and incorrect ways of sounding out as well, and not really relating to the letter sound conversion, but also with regards to the vowels. And I probably will do a video that talks about the different vowels and how you can teach them to your children. I'll see if I'll do that one. So if your child encounters or comes to an unfamiliar word, what tends to happen in my household, when sometimes my husband is the one that is helping the kids with the reading, is that he tells them the word. And I'm thinking, this defeats the purpose, because really the purpose is for you to instill appropriate word attack skills. So when you're unfamiliar, that's my son as well. So when they encounter an unfamiliar word, what should they do? Should they just get confused? Should they, and stare blankly? Should they guess? No. You need to encourage them to sound out. So that is phoneme segmentation. You're segmenting. And then obviously, if you're going to segment, what else should you teach them? Phoneme blending. So phoneme blending is when they put together the sounds. So if they've pulled apart the word dog, you know, so d or g. Instead of guessing, because I have encountered children who will segment appropriately, accurately, but then they blend incorrectly. So they need to, you know, blend it correctly. So dog, you know, you can get them to do the first two. So do and then g, you know, dog. I mean, I'm sure if you are, I mean, if the child is a little bit more advanced in their reading, you know, obviously you'll be encountering more complex words that, you know, and probably more complex or longer vowels in the middle, or not just o, I, or e. But anyway, so you get the gist. So help them be able to pull apart. So you're reinforcing a appropriate word attack skill. So help them pull apart unfamiliar words, sort of guessing, being stuck, or you know, just staring blankly. And also help them be able to put it together. If it's a bigger word, help them be able to cover part of it. So if it's dog house, they cover the house, they say the dog, and then after that they cover the dog and say the house, and then they put it together. It's still a form of blending. So that's two things that you can do to help your child with their reading. The third thing is that you can help your child be able to punctuate what they're reading appropriately. I find that, you know, particularly for children who find the skill reading quite effortful, that there's so much focus that is directed at the actual reading, you know, the segmenting, the whatever, that they sometimes forget that they need to maintain the integrity of the words or the sentences that they are reading in order to preserve meaning. And you know, after a child is fluent in reading, even before they are fluent in reading, they are going to be expected to comprehend, so to answer comprehension questions. How do you answer comprehension questions if you are not punctuating appropriately? So the easier, I mean, some of the basic foundational, really, I think the more or less this is all the punctuating that I find will ensure integrity of a sentence. They have to put their commas, and for commas I usually reinforce dragging the last word. So if the sentence was the farmer went to the market, then, so I'll go, the farmer went to the market. Or if it's a list of things, so bananas, potatoes, and tomatoes. So bananas, potatoes, particularly for the younger children, let them know that there's a stretch there, that's a comma. And then if it's a full stop, it needs to be a complete stop. And sometimes you might find when the sentence is running to the next line, and it's not really, it's still part of the sentence, it's not a full stop, children will stop at the end and then come and start again. I always, if I'm reading with my children and they do that, I make them reread the entire sentence so that they are punctuating appropriately. And then an exclamation mark as well, so, and also a question mark. So exclamation mark, it's, you know, rising intonation, and a question as well is rising intonation. So where is dad? You know, it can't be where is dad. It needs to be, you know, let them know this is a question. So I usually will draw attention to accurate punctuation. Fourth thing that you can do with your child to help them with their reading is help them be able to use context to be able to work out the meaning of unfamiliar words. So, and that also prepares them for being, you know, the little investigators that they need to be, you know, when they are comprehending texts. You know, I say to my children, you're comprehending text, you put on the hat of an investigator because the author gives you little clues, and so you're piecing them together. So if they don't realize that that is the whole gist of comprehension and reading, then they sometimes are not attuned to picking out, oh, this word. So they're talking about, you know, land with water around it, and then the next sentence, it's island. You're like, oh, what does island mean? Oh, it must mean, you know, the sentence before, land with water around it. So that is how you can help your child be able to make out or work out the meaning of unfamiliar words by themselves. So you as a parent or as a reading partner, all you're doing is helping your child be able to figure out for themselves instead of always rescuing them. Rescuing them is such a, you know, ineffective technique to helping children be able to read effectively and become, you know, fluent readers and fluent understanders of what they, you know, of what they've read. So there you have it. I hope this has been informative. Those are the 4 ways that I help my children when I am their reading buddy. So I'm not always rescuing them, but I am helping them be able to, you know, acquire appropriate word attack skills that involve, sounding out, pulling apart unfamiliar words, putting them together, be able to punctuate accurately, as well as, be able to use context to be able to understand words that are not immediately familiar to them. So I hope you found that informative. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment though what you thought about, what I've those 4 ways, and whether you are doing any of them or any more that you might be doing. So if you haven't subscribed as well, please do so, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you, and catch you later.